Shalom. Kal halalim la Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom to the prophets of that body. Shalom to the 144,001 May peace and blessings be upon your households. The spirit of endurance. Okay. And whatever is bothering you right now, may it get rectified. Okay. And I'm sure everyone's got a few hurdles they need to jump over as well. But anyway, nevertheless, shalom. My mind's about to digress again, and I'm trying to keep the focus. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Once again, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. People are mourning. People are talking about the financial struggles. I want to play a video in a bit. It's a new segment, all right, about people's struggling financially. Okay. So, people, all these promises that are made, but to naught. And I've just recently been watching some westerns over the weekend, cowboy movies, right? How the dealings with the native Indians and how the Edomites deal with their own. They say one thing and they do another. And tribe of Gad, they always call the so-called white man fork tongue, because he's a liar. He'll say one thing and do another. 400 treaties broken with the tribe of Gad, the so-called Native Americans. They come with friendship. What do? They stab Jake in the back. When I say Jake, I'm referring to Jacob. The Negroes, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians are Jakes or Jacobites or the sons of Jacob, all right, along with the Israelite foreigners of that lineage, paternally from the 12 tribes, all right? They have a forked tongue. So all these promises that are made by Trump and all the powers that be, whether it's from the White House all the right down to their local leaders in their certain areas and townships and cities or whatever. Okay, they're all lying. People are fed up. People are fed up with the financial aspect. People are fed up with their children have to read sodomite books, homosexual books. I know people right now that I work alongside with, and they've told me horror stories about they know friends that their children are struggling with gender identity in schools. And this is in the UK. How much more in America, ground zero Babylon? So there's a whole hodgepodge of different things that are pissing people off, and people are going to go fucking crazy. They're going to go crazy. Pardon my French. But it's annoying, right? Proverbs 29:2 again. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. All right, along with all the spiritual aspect being taken away, all the hope and optimism, teenagers in the 80s had, but this is how life's gonna be. The whole world is in a tailspin. They were in a magical world of, romance and optimism, and the future's gonna be like this, and the pop music at the time, the fashions at the time, and how everything was so-called carefree. It was better than it is now, of course, but obviously we're coming towards the end of this kingdom. Okay, the gas has run out. The car, the Edomite car, the Edomite ruler. Let's just say the Edomites rulership represents a car. Sorry, the car represents the Edomite rulership. That big Rolls Royce, the fuel's run out. It can't go anymore. All right. There's no more fuel designed specifically for that Edomite vehicle to keep running. It's done. Okay, all that optimism is out the window. Now, these people that were teenagers in the 80s, they've got children, right? They're thinking, their children can't experience it. We've already seen that footage of the old Edomite cracker, must be about 100 years, 80, 90 years old. He's talking about World War II and the life that he had and the great life he had growing up that he can't experience it now. So his great grandchildren or grandchildren can't experience it now. He was crying about it. And I said, listen, I thought to myself, eat my little rat, keep crying because, you're going to cry a lot in the kingdom. All right. He's talking about how happy he had it, because obviously this is their kingdom. Of course they're going to be happy. They're going to be whistling in the morning when they go to work. Okay. When they go jogging, they always got a smile on their face because it's not a struggle for them because this is their world, Things aren't a struggle for them. All right, for the most part. But we don't give a shit if it is, if it's a struggle for them anyway. All right. Then you've got the financial aspect. People aren't earning enough. All right. All right. Haggai 1 and 6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. He that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. All right. You know, it's like an egg timer. You seen an egg timer, right? How the sand keeps running out. You got a bag, all right, and you're putting gold dust in it, right? And as you're putting gold dust in the bag, you know, like an egg timer, the sand, the gold dust is just running out of the gold, the bag. So you know, all your coins, right? Not that I'm equating the money of this world to gold and silver. It's just money that's you can use the monopoly money according to the system on the numbers on the computer that Esau has. Okay, this money is worthless. Is worthless the same as you saw in the movie I Am Legend when Will Smith's dog ran inside the bank, the empty bank with the zombies in it, or whatever those things were. There's piles of cash there. It didn't mean a damn thing. All right, all right. Let's read Haggai 1 and 6 again. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. And we've seen videos, right? We've seen videos of people crying and moaning about the struggles that they're going through, screaming, do I put gas in my car or do I buy food? Do I pay my rent or do I pay this, now, and the third? So people have to make a choice. And Jake, what does Eddie Griffin talk about? If you've seen some of his stand-ups, what does Jake always talk about? They talk about how Jake is always balancing out the bills each month. What's priority? What can wait another 30 days? What can wait another 14 days? Depending on where they are. Are they in the red or are they in the green or whatever? Now, if they've recently paid their rent and their rent's due in the 30 days, or they might get a little bit of grace period, and a different bill doesn't have a grace period, Jake's gonna say, okay, pay that bill first. Then we deal with the rent in 2 weeks. You know, Jake's been doing that. All right. And it was called something called perseverance. And Jake has been dealing with that. All right. Now the so-called white man is suffering. Now it's like, oh, we are the world, we are the world and all that kind of shit. United Colors of Benetton and all that bullshit. You know? Jake is struggling too. All right. But Jake's been struggling. All right. But the so-called white man is feeling it now as well. You know? I even heard like Elamites, East Indians, as rich East Indians, you know? A lot of these guys from Kerala and the southern India, all these Elamites that go there, that work in these blue chip tech companies and all that, they're struggling too. All these Gujaratis, Kash Patel's relatives, working in different, all these huge Google and all that, some of them they're struggling. Moab, I ain't seen Moab struggle yet to see them homeless on the street here in the UK, but all the nations are suffering. All right. Now that I mentioned Moab, now let's see what the Lord does to Moab, man. We're gonna start once you start seeing Moabites on the street homeless, and they are, all right, but they're the usually sort of American or Canadian ones that have been in the country for generations. These fresh gooks, this fresh batch of heathens, they're not suffering. They will be too, just like this fresh batch of Elamites are suffering, as well as these Hamites, But these crackers, man, they're all gonna get it, man. Let's play this segment.
Poll, 2 out of 3 Americans told us they're stressed about their own finances. In a recent CBS News poll, 2 out of 3 Americans told us they're stressed about their own.
Paddy Power Games.
Salakia, damn commercials. By the way, fair use.
3 out of 4.
Fair use. I'm not making no money out of this. And this is just news anyway. I'm just emphasizing I'm agreeing with what the Edomite on the screen is saying. All right, it's all biblical. All right, his kingdom is falling.
3 Americans told us they're stressed. In a recent CBS News poll, 2 out of 3 Americans told us they're stressed about their own finances. 3 out of 4 said their incomes are not keeping up with inflation. That's a lot of people struggling to make ends meet. And starting tonight in our series, The Cost of Living, you'll hear some of their stories in their own words. First, a single mother of 3, ages 1, 4, and 8, trying to make ends meet on a teacher's salary of $37,000.
Sweet, we're ready to rock. My name is Michelle Bourgeois. I am 37 years old. I am a teacher in St. Louis County, Minnesota. Since the price of eggs, bacon has gone up, we've done a lot more cereal. Eat it with your spoon. You gotta stay safe in the car, right? I've had to take on a second job just because everything has gotten so expensive. Hi, baby girl. I've been a teacher since about 2008. I love my brown shoe. I love my...
Everything's gone expensive. Let's read Haggai 1 and 6 again. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. Inflation. There's not enough. You can't buy eggs. They can't buy their swine that they like to eat. You know? They can't buy their, so what they're doing, they're having Fruit Loops. You know? So a lot of people are, getting rid of the hot breakfast and all the nuggets and the fish fingers and what do you call it? Fish, whatever, hot breakfast, whatever, in the morning, eggs and all that. They're supplementing. They're having cereal instead. A lot of people are having cereal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're having just cereal all the time. See, look at that. This scripture comes, the scripture speaking, man. And here we are. An example is here.
Brown shoes. It's definitely not something that people go into for the money. They go into it because they love it, which is why so many of us do have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. But it takes multiple incomes to survive in this economy. I just left work and now I am going to go door dashing for a couple hours. It looks like our first delivery. We have to go to Burger King. Thank you. So this first one is $4.50 guaranteed, and then sometimes we get tips. I always grew up thinking about the stereotypical American dream where you own a house and you have a yard to play in, and I think that dream is dying. I try to make every dollar count. A lot of the time, I'll just wait to feed myself until the end and then just eat whatever leftovers the kids have.
Yep, it is dead. No more happy days. That household with Richie Cunningham and his mother and father and Joni in the house and a beautiful big white house and manicured lawns and a huge garage on the side which you can rent out to Fonzie. That's all gone. All right, that's all gone. You can't have that no more. That era is gone. And even if you do have a house like that, the neighborhood is going to have you're going to have YNs of the Edomite kind on the corners, because you're gonna have your own, your hood rats. They're coming up, man. They're coming. That's happening in your areas right now. You got these Edomites, these crazy Edomites out there, man.
Touch. Put your cute little bib on. A lot of the people making the decisions for us are wealthy. Don't know what it's like to work 2 jobs, don't know what it's like to have to pay for gas with quarters, and yet they're making the decisions for us. If they knew a little bit about the average person who is fighting every day to make ends meet, I think that maybe they would make decisions that were actually helpful for the average person. Good night, sister. Come here.
And you see the curse is coming on the Edomite too. She's a single mother. She's fat, just like the N Dub. She got 2 children. I mean, she's on her own. You see that, right? And you go back 70 years. Blonde, Edomite woman. Back in the 50s, she would have been slim. Back in the 50s, she probably would have had longer hair or whatever. She would look maybe a little bit more attractive. Back in the 50s, she would have been married with a husband who works in an office or a great plant job, you know what I mean, where you earn really good money. where they go bowling on a Friday night and they got them bowling balls with their names on it, you know, with a great uniform with their name tag, you know, written in Old English or something. You know, that's how it would have been. But look at her right now in 2025 on her own, you know. Let's read that other scripture. Which one's going to read? All right, she's talking about people making decisions for them. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Proverbs 29:2. And she's not mourning hardcore yet, but I'm sure she sheds her tears. All right? Okay? Isaiah 46:10, NLT. Only I can tell you the future before it happens. Everything I plan will come to pass, for I do whatever I wish. Okay, let's go to the King James Version. The Lord is saying, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. All right? And this is part of the Lord's pleasure as well, man, bringing this place down. All right? It was once risen up. Okay? Because Esau said he'll build the desolate places, which he did. Then the Lord give this little low, you know, a worm has more value than the Edomite. I didn't give this low level devil, this cracker, you know, thousands of years ago, you know, but just 2,000, you know, a couple of thousand years ago, this devil was in, crawling on all fours, or less than a couple of thousand years ago, crawling on all fours, right? Couldn't even speak, hair all everywhere, you know, hair on their forehead, their face, all the way up right under their eyes, you know. The Lord tamed them, you know, in each lifetime they came through, they tamed them a little bit. But some of these crackers have that remnant of you know, how they used to look in the caves, you know. But what they got is that marking they still got is that pale skin, you know, that leprous look, that demonic look they have, right? Made a low-level devil like that the ruler of the planet, simply to use them as a whooping stick for us, man. You know, Esau got to rule. And the Lord is fair. You see how fair the Lord is. Even give this scumbag rulership. Even gave this scumbag time to be, you know, lording over everyone, thinking that they were the most high, Yahweh Shai, they were the kings and princes of the earth. And, you know, they're the people of the Bible. They're the people, you know, in all biblical movies. They're the knights of the round table. They're Robin Hood. They're the Lone Ranger. You know, they made themselves everybody, you know, when they're nothing, you know. They are nobody people, man. Second Ezra 6 verse 54 lets you know that the Lord says that they're like a, you know, out of a drop, you know, out of a you know, they're like a drop out of a bucket or out of a vessel. They're like the last drop. It doesn't, they don't mean nothing, you know. Let's go back to the news segment. I've got a feeling it's going to be that damn commercial. Let me just put it on silent. Oh, it's not.
The government reported today that in the past 12 months, prices rose just under 2.5%.
In our special series, The Cost of Living, Americans are sharing their struggles to make ends meet. Tonight, a rookie cop in Connecticut, married, 3 kids, household income $120,000, and looking to buy a house.
This is his story in his own words.
My name is Anthony Bartolini. I'm a police officer in Waterbury, Connecticut. I'm 29 years old. I've been a
Barlini, yeah. I always got to look at the surnames as well. More than likely Italian. It could be a Jake. Nevertheless, it don't matter. The world sees him as a white guy, so, you know, white people can say, he's one of our own, you know. Let's go with it.
police officer about a year. Let's go. But every day is a struggle for me too. If I still have to worry about my next paycheck, where my next meal is coming from, I'm just like anybody else out there. Good morning, it's Officer Bartolini. I'm patrolling streets because you want to make sure that if you see something, you can do something about it. So I've been looking at houses pretty much every day. I wanted to buy one for a few years. To put 20% down on our house, that's a lot of money. Even I can't do it, working double shifts. In today's economy, even if I got a second job, wouldn't be able to afford it.
How was your day?
Good. My wife Sarah and I were waiting for our daughter to get off the bus. We'll eat something real fast, then we'll go look at a couple homes.
Oh, there's a bone in here.
There is.
Yeah, by looking at his wife, he probably is a Jake. That looks like a Keisha in a different package, as you can see. But nevertheless, man, people are suffering, whether they're our people or our people in different packages or heathens. People are suffering, man. This kingdom is falling, man.
There is a bone, yep. We've been having trouble finding the right home because the bigger the house you want, the more expensive it gets. And we need the room for the family, the dogs. They need a yard to run around in.
Turn right on George Street.
I like the neighborhood. Seems quiet. There she is.
Hello, come on in.
We have 3 bedrooms on this level, 2 full baths.
It's a very nice house.
What price point are we looking at?
Probably around 300 to 325.
There has been a low supply, but there's still a demand. It's a very competitive market. So it checked all the boxes, but too bad somebody put an offer in before we got here.
Oh, if it falls through, we'll come back and revisit it.
I love you.
You do get defeated knowing that homes are so expensive after looking today. I hope people in power, they change the price of things. There has to be a way to make everything go cheaper. There's no way they can just keep going up and up and up because then people won't be able to live. It's just so expensive. No one will be able to afford anything.
Inflation has been moderating in recent months, but prices are still nearly 24% higher than at the start of the pandemic.
In our series, The Cost of Living, Americans are telling us about their struggles to make ends meet, and we conclude with a widow on Social Security. After rent, she has less than $200 to live on.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty.
My name is Olivia Marino Carlson. I'm 70 years old. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I cannot afford to retire. I live off of Social Security, which does not pay all my bills. That's why I'm looking for work. My husband was a mechanic. He developed MS. I took care of him until he passed away. I was working retail, lifting boxes. It was very hard. I'm going to the library to...
I mean, look at her, right? I mean, she's obviously a Marino Carlson. She probably married an Edomite. I don't know. She looks like a Gadite woman to me. I don't know why I'm getting that vibe, but nevertheless, I mean, look how old the woman is. I mean, that's like a grandmother age, right? Really, she should be just, shouldn't be on her feet all the time, And this is the shit and the struggle that people have to go through, even at their age, where they've grafted damn near 50, 60 years, and they've still got to still keep grafting. This is the America, man. This is that, where people want to go there. Big town America. Shit, it's happening here. Happening everywhere, man. Look at this.
use the internet to look for work. I did not think that being 70 would be like this. I'm asking if there's any positions or work positions available here.
We don't have anything open right now, but keep an eye on it.
I put in an application here at Walgreens. I haven't heard back, so I'm going to check to see what's going on.
Look at that. It's hard for youngsters to get jobs. People are, you got people that are CEOs applying for McDonald's jobs, right? Because people's, a lot of tech companies and a lot of these other kinds of companies are shutting down because they don't want people sitting in positions, just sitting there where they got an easy, cushy job and getting paid, six-figure salaries. They're getting rid of people like that, okay? And how much struggle is it for a healthy, able-bodied person to get a job? How much of a struggle is it for them? How do you, it's going to be even more of a struggle for someone that's older, right? That's got one of them sticks as well, because she's obviously an older person. So they want, so they're trying to avoid lawsuits. They're trying to avoid, they want someone that they can have that can come at a drop of a hat. For example, if they need to cover a shift or someone's day off, they're gonna say, call this person. If it's someone old, they're gonna say, no, he or she might not be able to come because they're old. They're gonna need their day off. So they want someone who can be at their beck and call to a certain degree, and someone young and vibrant. So they're gonna go for who? people probably between 18 and 40, a young 40, with some kind of experience. So, I mean, the Lord's going to provide jobs to those of his people and of the elect, because Jake needs to get by, right? Because every morsel of food has somebody's name written on it, and that morsel of food is going to be for the hope for the elect, um, especially in these last days, because the Lord is going to provide, man, and some people are going to be struggling. A lot of bad, evil times have started for 2/3 of our people, which is scary thought. The Lord is going to deal with the house of Jacob first. I'm not saying that she's Jacob. We don't know who. I just go sometimes with the feel of a situation. But Romans 8:16 will reveal in due time who's who. But but the Edomites, man, F them and the heathen. I don't give a shit about their pain. But I'm just saying generally, man, people are suffering. And this is the real America, the face they don't want to show you. And if they do show it to you, they're going to come with a counter. They say, "Oh yeah, but jobs are increasing in this area or in this particular vertical by 25%." They've started seed money. They started, they've got investors and they've raised so many millions or whatever, and they're going to increase jobs 5,000 in this area and that area, and people get their hopes up. So they give you bad news and they try and sugarcoat that bad news, man. That's what they do. Problem, reaction, solution, and they mess with your emotions.
They don't have an update on my application. The cost of food has gone up. Every time I blink, it goes up. I get better prices here.
So your total's gonna be $10.25?
This is where I have a Bible study.
We thank you so much for this evening.
There are times when I do feel like giving up, and coming to this group helps me continue on.
Good. Right.
My greatest obstacle right now is being able to support myself. It is hard for me just to survive. I wish people in power would think more with their heart. It is hard for me to accept that I'm not able to enjoy the rest of my life because I have worked hard all my life.
There you go. Okay, she said, she wants the people that are ruling to think with their heart. Well, we've seen how much of a heart the so-called white man has had. Okay, America and Britain are probably the most violent countries ever in the last, probably one of the most violent in the last 3-4 centuries, or the violent, right? There you go, man. And this is going to lead to, people taking up arms at some point. Second Ezra is 15. Let's read a couple of verses from here. Verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Okay, we already heard it from, two people. We heard it from the Edomite woman at the start, and we heard it from the older woman at the end, right? Okay, we heard it from the Italian couple. They're struggling with finances, and they've got a household income of 120K, right? So 2 out of 3 have mentioned that they, people that have got money, have got a silver spoon in their mouth, are making decisions for people that work from work from day to day and work, and live from paycheck to paycheck, So they're not going to care, man. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. All right. Verse 17, it's going to go towards martial law when troubles start. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Verse 19, okay, here's the kicker. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And it's coming. All right. It's coming. All right. This is like, like a quiet house stirring in the morning. That term stirring, when it's waking up, this is like the stirrings of, or the mournings or the moanings of the people, right? And from here, it's going to go towards a level of violence, because when people can't feed their children, their wives, themselves, and as a man, they look at themselves in the mirror every day, they can't provide, they feel useless, and the man is supposed to protect and to provide for his family. What do you think they're going to do? Especially the so-called white man. This is their kingdom. They're going to go crazy. All right. And that's Jacob's trouble, man. Jeremiah 30, verse 7. All right. What's that new segment again? Check it out yourself. This is from 2 days ago on CBS Evening News. Anyway, all praise to Yahweh Bashem Hashai, Bashem Makaf.